Welcome to Land Academy. I'm Jack Butala.
I'm Jill DeWit.
We show you how to buy real estate for half of what it's worth.
And sell it on the internet really fast.
We are Jack and Jill,
and this is the Jack and Jill Show too.
With over 15,000 completed transactions, we're the experts at acquiring property.
Of all kinds, not just land.
For half price and flipping them for way more.
All right, let's get this show started.
Jill DeWit with Jack Butala here.
Hello today.
Welcome to our show. In today's episode, Jack and I talk about assessed value pricing strategies that work. This is really a show for Jack. So that's why I am taking the lead. So this is going to be fun.
I love when you MC.
Thank you very much.
All I have to do is do all the content. It's
That's
fun.
kind of nice. Just sit
fun
back
for
and
me.
relax. It's good. So first, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landacademy.com online community. It's free.
Excellent. Jim asked this question. How do you migrate or mitigate risk in an option deal? How do you mitigate risk in an option deal? Do you collect payment from your buyer before you execute the transaction with your seller? If not, if the buyer backs out, are you stuck with the property? I believe that this is the correct approach, but I'm thinking if I collect from the buyer and the seller for some reason refuses to complete the transaction, I'm not at risk. This is a good question. Here's what an option is. Can I answer this, Jill?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that it's called different things around the country, and depending on how old you are, you may call it a dual escrow or an option to purchase or all kinds of stuff, but they all add up to this. Please retain this. This is the one thing you should get out of the show. An option is legal, equitable title in a property. It doesn't mean you own it. It doesn't mean you paid for it, but you are now making decisions legally about this property, and you're deciding how much you can sell it for, buy it for, and the whole thing. In lieu for getting that equitable title, you usually give the buyer, you agree with the seller that he's going to sell it, let's say for $1,000, and that you're going to market it, and he agrees to that. Maybe you pay him money, maybe you exchange signatures, but you get equitable title. Then you go market it. You lop it into all the other deals you're doing, and you sell it for $5,000. Then the question here Jim's asking is, how do you close the deal? So that's the background on an option, what we call an option. And I can tell you how we do it, but our members now do it a lot of different ways. Jill, maybe you can tell us.
What do we do?
How we close an option deal.
Yeah, I do exactly what Jim asked. Well, first thing I do before I collect any money, and I agreed on the sales price, it's $5,000. Yep, I got it. I want to transfer the money. Great. I just want to double check, my end real quick and make sure everything's ready to go. I'll call you right back. I'm going to quickly hang up the phone, call my seller back and go, hi, Mr. Smith, just make sure, are we still good to go? I want to buy your property, and I'm probably going to for $1,000, exactly as agreed. And I'll transfer the money tomorrow, whatever it is kind of thing. And we'll get back to you and make sure we're all good to go. Yep, we're good. Oh, I'm so excited. Yay. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Then I call back my seller and say, yep, we're good to go. And it can all happen on the same day.
It should happen on the same day.
Exactly. And you do want to keep your name in the process too, by the way, because we're not realtors. We're not representing other people. We're actually buying it. So what's going to happen is my buyer is going to put the $5,000 in my account, basically. I'm going to turn around at the same time, put $1,000 in Mr. So-and-so's account, or set up the cashier's check for the notary close, however we're doing it.
Or do it through escrow.
True.
On higher dollar properties.
Exactly. And it's all going to happen at the same time. So I guess what you're asking, what I hear is, that sounds like the right way for me to. I don't have the $1,000, but if I get the $5,000, I can turn, I can pay the $1,000. Is that okay? And the answer is yes. And what are the chances of the seller? You just talk to him. That's how you made sure you're all still in. Could he still change his mind? Yeah. After the money comes, it's really not going to happen. But if anything really, really weird happened, you just refund it.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's the worst that's going to happen. You're going to call the guy back and go, something went wrong. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Here's your $5,000 back.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And I feel really bad. And by the way, I have another one right here. Have you looked at this one? Kind of thing.
There's two things you want to remember about options deals that'll keep you out of trouble forever. Number one, If something goes wrong, make sure you have the money to give it all back. Number 2, you want to take title, not equitable title, actual title. You want to be in the chain of title as an owner for the 30 seconds that it takes the recorder to record your deed and then record it in the new guy's name. That makes you not a broker or an agent or a representative. It makes you an investor owner, and there's nobody can say anything about it. And you want to, all the way through this, you want to be honest with every single person. That's how the stuff goes sideways. We have a lot of very successful options people in our membership group, and it's because of this. They tell the truth.
Exactly.
There's one person in our group who says this sentence in the deal. Hey, buyer, you're paying $5,000 for this thing. I want you to know I'm buying it for $1,000 from this guy over here. If for some reason that is now an unattractive scenario for you, then let's not do the deal. But I'm telling you, this is an option deal, and I'm marketing it. And if you still see the value in the deal, then we'll go ahead. You will never get in trouble that way. And it may kill your deal. The theory behind all these deals that we do is they're smoking.
I don't do that.
I know you do.
I'm like, my eyes are like, what?
I have to say stuff like that because they're like, who is this guy?
Do you know what's so
With you,
funny?
they just love you.
Well, they never ask. They just don't ask. And I'm not going to, well, let's be honest. Why would I volunteer unnecessary information? I'm not going to do that. And if they ask, do you own it? I have equitable title. That's what I say. And like you said, you always be honest and upfront. But you don't need to offer extra information. Okay. It is a good deal. Because here's the reality. Here's the reality of what Jim should be with this whole situation. The guy that I'm buying it for $1,000. I'm selling it for $5,000. The guy who's buying it for me knows it's worth $10,000.
Oh yeah.
So that's
why we're all
reality.
doing the deal anyway.
And he's all excited.
Sure.
And he may or may not use it. He may be flipping it. He may be building on it.
I totally agree.
He may be giving it to a family member. Who knows? So he's excited too.
Right.
And it's still a good deal.
I will tell you this. Here's some good advice. If you're going to go through escrow, just add 3 zeros to what I just said. So you're buying it for $100,000, you're selling it for $500, and it's worth $900. Now you're going through escrow, and I'm going to tell you, people talk to escrow agents when they're closing deals a lot. If you're in this business, you talk a lot. Escrow agents are awesome, by the way. They're just great people in general. And it's going to come out. If you're doing a dual escrow, every person involved in the transaction is going to know the economics after the third the third time they talk to the agent.
Well, you know what's funny is that that's not going to kill the deal.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's what's so interesting. People think that, okay, now it just killed the deal and they're going to go around my sideways. No, they're not.
That's my whole point, Jill.
No, because how many times have you bought something? You're like, I know I can get in my car, I could drive over here, and I could save $10. Am I going to go do that? Heck no.
That's right.
I'm standing right here. I want it. I feel good about it. I got
stuff to do.
I'm ready to do this. It's going to be easy for me. By the way, that's a lot of this. Is you're upfront and honest, and you're making it such an easy transaction. They're going to go, heck yeah, it was worth it. Yeah, I paid more, but I got what I wanted.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the kind of person who's in the middle of that, and you're the $500,000 person or the $5,000 person, and it's just, you can't sleep at night because you know that I bought it for $1,000 or $100,000, and I'm making $400,000 in the deal, and it's just eating you inside, and because you think you left money on the table, and that's not how you do business, then I will not sell this property to you.
Yeah,
I'm serious. That's ridiculous. There's huge value in sourcing deals like we do. Uh-huh. That's what we teach. Uh-huh. Sourcing these transactions and getting there first. Being the first person. So my point is this. There's a lot of people who get upset about that. They have to negotiate. All right. That's who they are.
Correct.
That's their culture. That's their whole, they have to squeeze every single penny out of every single deal. That's who we exactly do not do deals with.
Well, you touched on something important. That markup is your due diligence. There's a reason why that person's not doing it. They could go out and do this themselves, but they're not going to. They're choosing to pay for you to do the hard work.
Couldn't agree more.
Find them this great deal, and they're still happy with it.
If I sound a little angry about this, it's because I am.
I love it. If you have a question or you want to be on the show, reach out to either one of us on landacademy.com. Today's topic, the meat of the show, assessed value pricing strategies that work. And this is really for Jack.
Yeah, I wrote this title. So on Monday and Tuesday, we talked about this. We alluded to the fact that this works in every single county. The variable is price. Well, how do you know how to price stuff? Like, there's a big difference between, let's say, sending out offers in Northern Oregon versus sending out offers in Central Arizona versus sending out offers for farmland in Iowa. Well, how do you know? In one of those states, $100 an acre might work really well. In one of those states, 500 might work, and in one of those states, 2,000 works. Well, how do you know that? This is what you do. You take a look at, for big picture 35,000 foot pricing, what's active on the market and what's sold. There's many places to get completed sales data and active sales data. There's places that specialize in farmland. There's places that specialize in acreage and rural real estate and land and the whole thing. Start with landpin.com. There's a ton of good comps on there. There's completed sales comps on there. Start and go to LandWatch and some of the other places around the internet, and you're going to see which of the three that I just described and where they fit. For the record, Iowa is the highest one. Oregon's in the middle, and Arizona's the cheapest. And I know that because I've been in the business for a million years, and you would know that if you just went to this, spent 20 minutes on the internet and took a look.
Did some due diligence.
Assessed value comes into play. So now you know that the basic pricing is what it is. Assessed value comes into play as a relativity variable within that county. I know that sounds crazy and complicated, but I'm going to explain it. It's very simple. All the property that you're looking at in a county in Iowa that you want to spend a couple $1,000 an acre on or more, maybe 4,000, is going to have different assessed values. So let's say you look at all the 10-acre little micro farms in Iowa. Or let's use 40 acres because that's some people do still have 40-acre farms. In the universe of XYZ County in Iowa, there will be super high assessed 40-acre properties and super low assessed 40-acre properties. That's how you gauge the exact offer that you're going to make. Not the dollar amount of the assessed value. You formulate a type of equation based on it. So maybe at the top of the scale for assessed value is $40,000 or $400,000, and the bottom of the scale is zero. Mm-hmm. You use that assessed value as a gauge. See, the assessor, there are assessed values because that's how the assessor knows what to send tax bills out for.
Right.
So theoretically, the assessor done all the work for you. He or she said, well, this farm is only worth this in its low end, so we're going to tax bill for this. Oh, but this farm's worth this for whatever reason they think that. We don't know or care. But they've already done all the work. And that's how you sort of loosely base your variable pricing. So if you're going to send a mailer out to Iowa, let's say, you start on the relativity assessed scale, and you start, let's say, at 2,000 an acre and go all the way up to wherever you're comfortable capping it. Maybe it's 4,000, maybe it's 4,500, maybe it's 6.
It's so interesting, Jack. I want to ask some questions here because it's like, it doesn't make sense. But you know, why they assess this property at that rate can be so different too than what it's really, really worth. So I would wonder if you would share a little more on that. Mm-hmm. And then B, boy, I wish the counties could all work together and do this similar, but they don't. You know, that's a whole nother thing, even within the same state.
So there's an economic theory out there, and I don't want to get too philosophical, where that it's this. The gist of it is this. Where there's market volatility, there's money to be made. You just got to be smart enough to get on the right side of it. That's what this is. So if every county did it exactly the same, like communist Russia,
right,
where you can't own property anyway,
right?
But if it was like that and it was all super organized, there'd be no volatility and no money to be made. So this variance, this nebulous variance that drives some of our members
like
nuts.
Stock market.
It drives them nuts. Well, why can't you just tell me exactly what to offer? What is the equation? These are questions I get all the time.
We're day trading property.
Why can't you just tell me that if it's assessed at $3,000, then I should be offering $4,500, and if it's assessed at, give me the exact equation. I want to send out my mailers.
Exactly. That was perfect.
That's just not how it works.
So perfect.
I want to teach you how to figure it out. I don't want to do your homework for you. And trust me, it's only going to take, if you're smart enough to get to that point where you're asking those questions, believe me, this is just
you're fine.
A tiny little,
you're good.
Tiny little forward step. So assessed value is only the way you gauge the relativity within the county that you're working.
Right.
It's relativity. All right, that's it. The dollar amount that we alluded to on Monday, the $100 an acre that everybody's stuck on, that is based on completed sales and active listings. And there's a touchy-feely point to it. You can't just say, oh, it's 13% of this.
As I'm learning a new county, Jack, gosh, should I download all that extra data to figure out where the top and the bottom is?
There's two ways to do that, and that's a great question.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what I do. I download it all because it's 8 cents a record. And the extra 500 or 600 or 700 records adds up to virtually nothing. I mean,
In the scheme of things.
So I like to have my whole arms around it. And I notice now that some of our really successful members are coming back saying, that's what we do too.
Right.
We spend an extra $200 or $300 on the data to avoid spending $3,000 or $4,000 extra on the mailer.
Right.
So it costs 50 cents a stamp. You want to avoid that.
Right.
But
That's
for
8 cents
8 or
is
10
cheaper.
cents, depending on when you join our group, that's
Right.
a lot cheaper.
Exactly.
Silly cheaper. Plus, if the mailer works, and if you're at this level, it's going to work, you're going to use that extra data next time anyway.
Right. Well, let me ask you, will this hold true in the other sizes? So let's just say, Jack, I'm new and I downloaded all the 5-acre properties in this county and I'm doing exactly what you said. And I found the sweet spot. Now, do I have to do the same thing at the 10-acre level, or can I kind of use it's the same assessor who's assessing the 5 acres, the 10 acres, the 20 acres. Does my formula that I created traditionally hold true?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does. However, there is a slight variable, and it's that's smart, Joe.
Thank you.
The higher you get in acreage, the higher the dollar amount, right? So if you wrote an equation for all the 5-acre properties, and let's say for sake of argument it's $1,000, so you want to spend $5,000 on $5,000 on a 5-acre property. That's 5 times 1,000,
Right.
and then as it goes up, you want to spend $999 at 5.02, 5.04. And on, because the larger the property, the dollar amounts start to get really crazy, and you got to be careful on the sell side. You want to go in a little bit low.
Got it.
I just did a consulting call, a data review consulting call, because one of our members, we offer this service. If you're new at this and a little bit uncomfortable about your mailer, on Wednesday you can schedule a call with me, and I'll look over the whole spreadsheet and say, this is going to work, or it's going to fly, or it's going to be great, or I think you're headed in the wrong direction. And so I've repriced it that way, just like that. This guy was shooting for the moon. He's going to kill it. He's going to knock it out of the park. He's going for 200-300 acre properties in Texas, in 2 specific counties for whatever reason made sense to him, and they make sense after looking at it now. And that's what I did for him, because he was at the 240 acre level. He was at $24,000, $100 an acre, and I know for experience at that dollar amount, when an owner who is willing to sell receives that in the mail, if it's $24,000 or if it's 18 or 16 or 15, they're going to sign it no matter what.
Right.
They decided they want to sell it.
North of 15,000 or whatever it is. North of whatever, they're okay.
Right. So you might miss one deal by doing it that way, but you're going to do way more deals. So
Right.
To answer your question, it's not exactly apples to apples,
Okay.
but it's darn close.
Okay. Starting off, if I stick with 5 and I go to 10, if I stay in the same range, then I'm good.
Same
I'm
range.
talking acres.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't go from 5 acres to, 160 acres.
Yes.
and use the same formula.
That's exactly
no.
right.
But from 5 acres properties to 10 acre properties, it's going to be
In
pretty
general.
close. So
The other thing that I'm seeing too is that, so we talk to drive this point home. So let's say you did spend $200 or $300 more to get all the data for 5-acre properties in a county, and you send it in on the lower end, and then you get a response. You do by 5%, 1 to 5% of the number that you sent out. The next thing you should do is don't go buy any more data. The extra data that you use to gauge the numbers, kick it up a little bit.
send
and
those
keep
guys
going.
offers.
Because you're also going to have 6 or 7 buyers in your back pocket because they want to buy your property in that area that
Right.
you ran out. You ran out of property.
Exactly. Now circle back around and use that data. The next level up you didn't offer.
We have
I
some
love it.
members who start in 2 counties like that, and they never leave the rest of their career.
Well, you get to know people exactly. You know the area. You could be the expert in XYZ area.
And I was just going to say
fantastic.
that. In 6 months, they're the expert now.
Totally. There's nothing wrong with that.
I agree.
So good. Well, thank
you.
you.
We have a member in Indiana that's knocking it out of the park in northern Indiana. This exact concept.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. Join us in another episode where Jack and Jill discuss how to use information. That's Jack.
That's me.
And inspiration. That's me. To get just about anything you want.
We use it every day to buy property for half of what it's worth and sell it immediately.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
I love when you MC.
Thank you.
I love it.
It's kind of fun for me too. I like changing roles like that. So
there's a bunch of derogatory things.
I just thought of that too.
Maybe we should exchange underwear sometimes.
Wait a minute.
See how it feels.
Yikes. Let's not go there. Although I wouldn't mind seeing that. Let's go.
That's not something we're going to film.
No.
Or
All right.
probably ever talk about it again.
Okay. Information and inspiration to buy undervalued property.
We are Jack and Jill, and this was the Cash Flow from Land Show.
We are the experts at acquiring property
Of all kinds, not just land.
for half price, just so we can flip it for way more.
And really fast. Thanks for listening. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.